Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mystery Kings Vanguard channel, and today bringing to you quite a delayed deck profile, which is Luard for premium. Yes, that's the only thing I probably play, like you see on my channel. But yeah, anyways, this is what I used to actually got me a second place at Bushiroad Rumble Online for Asia Oceania, which got me second place. So I just decided to do a deck profile on it, explaining the card choices and why I play them. So yeah, just gonna go on with the match report of the day first. My first round was against the Angel Feather. Second round against Sanctuary Guard Ashley. Third round was against OTT, won as well. Third round was against Grand Blue, win. My fifth round was against Simon Jang. Nightmare Dolls, the one you guys saw me lose to in the finals. Yes, I lost to him once in Swiss. Next round was against Great Nature. I won that round. So after that, it was Nubatama. I win that as well. And the last round is Dark Irregular, which was another win. Then going over to top 8. My top 8 match was against another Nightmare Dolls. So that was, I kind of lucked out. I got a 6 damage over trigger. If not, I think I would have lost the game already. Top 4 was against Gabriel Teo. What's it called? Highlander, which you guys saw on stream, and finals, and you saw I lost to Simon Jack again, which is to Nightmare Dolls. Okay, I went into this tournament without preparing anything much because I'm currently in the military, so I don't have much time to actually test decks. So I don't know what the meta is like. So I just made a deck that can actually do either somewhat of a mid game, early game, and a bit of late game as well. So because I don't know what am I supposed to capitalize on, so yeah, that's why I decided to. This is how I made the deck, I guess. Starter of choice, we are still playing the V starter. No reason to play anything else other than V starter. Alright, draw one. If you go second, a quick shield. Easy value. Okay, as for the grade 3s I'm playing is the 4th G Dragheart Luard. Yes, I'm pretty sure you guys seen the other builds, like the one that Karan Patel used to top with the Drag 4. I think that's valid. That's if you're gonna go for a bit more of an aggressive early game, I guess. Then as for the one that you saw on third place, I think the one from Crushing the Meta, I may be wrong, but the one that plays on the V engine. Actually, okay, honestly speaking, I think every single one of the build has its own flaws and pros, I guess. As for why I choose to play this over the others is cause, okay, the V package has markers, yes, but once you go into the late game, you kind of don't really get to call much, because unless you write your driver manually, then yes, you'll be able to spawn out full fields. But other than that, you don't really get a lot of calls. So okay, I wouldn't play that because your late game isn't as strong, and you don't really. Okay, you do have the force marker, yes, but you're not able to generate as much advantage later on. So that's one plus point of that, I guess. That was what I was testing for a while, but I decided against it because maybe it's just my environment, because I tend to see a lot of Chaos Breaker. So if you play against those matchups, you are kind of screwed if you're playing the V engine. Then as for the Drag 4 build, I haven't tested it at all, so I can't really give a strong opinion, but it did win a BRO, so maybe it works. So yeah. As for why I'm playing this is because without him, as you guys saw from my list, I don't play Blue Espada or Warrior Spear, so hitting Ritual 10 on first strike without them is actually relatively difficult if I'm gonna play Drag 4 without those cards. So Dragheart actually allows me to do that because you can kill one to spawn out two, which you saw the main spice of the deck. I think you guys saw was the Fortla that I played. I'll get into that later. So being able to kill one, that guarantees you one ritual, and being able to spawn out two more for maybe a Professor retire later on, that's guaranteeing you at least 3 rituals. And if you had Nami early on and you overload them with it, that's potentially 5 rituals right there. So that's why I'm playing this. But downside to this card and Drag 4 is that you don't really have a strong grid return. That's something that only the V package has. So that's the downside of trading off. But I think I would personally, okay, honestly speaking, if I had a choice to if I actually tested more and I knew what the meta was, which was like Nightmare Dolls or this, I maybe would have brought the V Luard instead of this. But given my lack of knowledge of the meta, yes, this is what I opted for. And I don't think it's any worse than other builds, I guess. So 4 Dragheart Luard, and that's it. Yep. And next is the 4 copies of Drag Wizard Lia 4. Your best friend when it comes to grade 2 gaming. Okay, I don't think I have to explain much why Layer 4 is good. It's just a strictly better Maka from back in the day. Counter Blast 1, you're probably gonna call a Karen to get a counter charge and one ritual by Soul Blasting the Great One your soul. Or you can always call the old Sword Breaker, which I think you guys saw in my list is... Okay, basically I know you can always call a Bizarre Hour off of him, but it requires both of you to be on the same grade to Soul Blast to be able to draw. So this, you'll be able to draw earlier 4 into this can draw regardless of what grade opponent is on. So that's pretty neat to have there. Why I'm playing this over Dialard, because Dialard, I think most of you know, you need a Ritual Vanguard, so you can't call it off on turn 2. That's why I'm playing this. So for layer 4, doesn't really come up that often when it comes to the late game, but early game, if you're missing on the main, you can just call on the main as well. So kind of get a bit of engine going on there, but you probably won't invest a 1 CB later on, because 1 CB in this deck on turn 3 or 4 is actually pretty expensive to call one, so you probably won't use it beyond first grade 2 turn. So yeah, playing 4 copies of this. Next is your win condition of the deck, Drag Fencer deck. Obviously you want to see him by turn 4 or 3. Basically you need him on your first strike turn to be able to try to go for the kill. So playing 4 to optimize the chance of that happening. If you're playing 3, 1 goes to the damage, then you only left 2 to potentially try to fish out for that 1 copy you need, I guess. So I will still play 4. I think Luard can't really do much without Dagda, because the 4 attacks on Mofasa turn isn't really that scary if you think about it. Yeah, so 4 copies of Dagda. Sorry. Finally, it's the 3 copies of Fort. Why am I playing this? As I mentioned earlier, it tutors for your Belaya Owl. So for 1 counter blast, if you hit, let's say early on you don't see in the main and you don't have a Leah 4, and you are able to see into her. You are able to counter blast 1 and spawn out 2 trigger units, which you'll most probably be calling out your Belaya Owls. So calling these out basically helps you to get set up for your later turns, so you can have a... You can draw more basically, counter blast on the call 2 Belials, then later on you can sack it off Mofasa. And yep, so that's a total of 4 cards right there. And with your drag cards on strike skill, you can kill the first copy and maybe you can call another copy out. So then you have 2 to retire for Mofasa skill. So drawing you a total of 5 cards right there. It's free value, so why not? Niche play, but I don't think you ever need it, but is there. You can counter blast 1 to call a Heal Guardian if you need 10k beaters, but I don't recommend doing that. You still want heals in your deck, you still want them to, you know, help you survive opponent's grade 3. So yeah. So okay, another point about Fortla is that she's a 8k base. So as I mentioned earlier, that you can actually play a long game or you can play a short game if you want to. Basically, if you're going to play a long game, means you probably want to be damage denied early, so to actually help you to get to the late game, which you saw me attempt to do, but in the finals, but like he saw in the Heal Guardian, so I died from that. But 8k body actually helps in damage denying, because most things in the meta now for grade 2 is at least a 9k, so you can just ride up and just counter blast 1, call 2 Belaya Hours. If let's say you don't have the main, you don't have to commit 1 card in hand to actually deny in case you do check a trigger. So just swing for 8, pass turn, yeah, that's it. There's another plus point of this Fortla. And late game, if let's say you see him a bit later on, like after doing your Mofasa skill, and you have them, you still have like one copy in hand, and you have enough counter blast, you can always turn her into 2 copies of Curse Eye Raven, which helps you to filter a lot more. That's another thing you can do with Fortla. So it fits so many roles. Like yeah, it's able to draw you cards. Yeah, it's able to draw you cards. It's able to help you damage deny. It's able to help you filter. So I can sing a lot of praises about this card, but you kind of have to try it to actually understand its value. I think it's... But if let's say the meta isn't as... Okay, if the meta doesn't give you as many counter blasts as you want it to, then I would suggest swapping this Fortla out for Naui's, the one that calls level check top 4 and call a grade 1 or lower. They feel the same purpose, just that Fortla is a little bit greedier, because you need to pay a CB but you get a slightly better payoff. So yep, this is all for my grade 2s, just 12, 11, you don't really need any more. Next is the 4 copies of Brandon. You have to be crazy to not play this in, like, I don't know, most, if you have space in any premium deck right now, this searches for your right target if you are missing it, or if let's say you are going second, you need to try to dig out for your Hue Guardians to survive their explosive turn. She's there for you. And on top of that is a 13k beater, so 13k beater against most decks magic number, like 13 by itself plus 15 from Professor, this is 28 by itself without any boost or anything. Yeah, it's an insane card all in one package. No reason not to run it actually. So yeah. Then next is the 4 copies of the main. You have to be crazy to not play this in any Shadow Paladin deck. Don't think I have to explain, it's been a staple for years. Rest, get a free call. That's about it for the main. As the next card I'm playing is the 4 Drag Saber Ezra's. Basically tutorable PG, which you saw me do against Gabriel Teo, which sorry about that. I wasn't sure when I could kill him on the Mofasa turn, so I decided to go into the second Dragon Beast and try to farm out a perfect guard to potentially try to survive the turn. So yeah, 4 copies of Ezra's, no reason not to play it. But if you want to try, there's an interaction you can do with the Grey Run Interceptor, the Crabs, together with the Cattle Sanctuary perfect guard. If you want to do that play, sure. I mean, you technically have a tutorable PG because you can search the Cattle PG out, and the Interceptor, you can just intercept them away as PG as well. So that's another one you can consider, but generally I think Ezra's is still the better option, because if later on you have no core targets for your deck da, she can always push herself back to deck. So yeah. And 2 Abyssal Owl, you can call it off. The main, you can call it off. Leopold if you need it, just Soul Blast 1 to get a draw, or Counter Blast 1 if they're not the same grade. No reason not to run him. And 2 copies of Karen for counter charge. 1 Swordbreaker I explained earlier. And my last card is Drag Wizard Vicro. Counter charges, if you need it, you can main a rest and call it out. If you're actually desperate for the 1 soul and 1 counter charge, why not? Is 2 resources in 1 card. Yeah, you is probably one of the best card in Luard, I guess, one of the best 5k base. Okay, triggers. Okay, for stand triggers, because I Raven. Okay, I would actually want to play more stands, like the Crafting or any other stand trigger that the deck can play, but I don't want. Okay, I'm already playing so many V triggers, G triggers, which I'm playing 3 Belaya Hour, and adding 4 Kasareva, that's 7. Hitting G trigger against most decks right now is gonna hurt early on, so I don't really want to play as many to, you know, put myself in the situation whereby 1 trigger doesn't shut down opponent's turn. So I'm just limiting myself to just 4 stands. Focus are even the best stand in the deck, I guess. She's so free. Yep. Then, as I shown, 3 Belaya Owls, and these are your main call targets when you're gonna call with Fortla. Next, 4 strike for the crit, because the G-Drag card doesn't let you strike the moment you ride it, so having more of these actually help in negating that flaw, which is not being able to strike, getting the free strike. So playing 4 of these instead of the 2019 ones. And for Hue Guardian, obviously. As for the over trigger, is something I actually haven't tested. Okay, on theory, I'm playing this because bumping 100 million to two attackers that are gonna ask for PG, and on a Professor turn is gonna be a 3 card guard at least if they're gonna PG. So in theory, this might eat up more, but I can see why people will play the Cattle Sanctuary one. Get more dry checks on rear guard means more opportunity to open stands. There's no wrong in that. But yep, as I said, lack of testing. I think both has its own pros and cons. But I decided to play the a bit more greedier one, which is having the 100 million power to 2 units. That's why I'm playing this over the Cattle Sanctuary one. But if you really like the Cattle Sanctuary one, by all means play that. Okay, as for G-Zone, it's probably the most generic G-Zone ever for Luard. 3 Professor, games generally don't go beyond the 3rd copy, so just play 3. You don't need a 4th, save money. 4 Dragon Beast, if let's say you've been damaged tonight early and you need to farm up some resources, yeah, she's there for you. And if opponent's on 5 and you're super late into the game, the GB3 might be relevant, but almost doesn't come up, but it's there. Next is Phantom Blaster Diablo, or matchups like against Nubatama where they empty their board. Bermuda maybe you can potentially cheese a win out of there, or against Gize if they still exist. So yeah, you should always be playing 2 copies of these, regardless of what the meta you're in. One Sea Breeze, because reasons, I don't play a V boss monster, so maybe a Sea Breeze could help me cheese out a win. One Ogma, probably just flip order for Mofessa. It can be anything you want. You probably will never go into these anyways, but yeah. 2 Block Maker for 25k shield. G-Guard's actually pretty generic for shadows. 1 Dark Veil for big ass G-Guardian. 1 Bronak, and 1 Jellido to get the draw. So yeah, that's about it for my Luard deck profile. So if you have any questions about my list, feel free to ask them. I'll try to answer it as much as possible. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys.